Welcome to Pathways, Becoming Trauma Responsive, where we explore trauma through a compassionate lens, discover how these experiences affect each of us differently, and dive deeper into what it really means to become more trauma-informed. I'm your host, Dr. Elizabeth Meeker, Senior Director of the New York State Trauma Informed Network and Resource Center, funded by the New York State Office of Mental Health. The network advances a collective understanding of trauma, wellness and healing, and trauma-informed practices in action. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest on Pathways today, Phoenix Kawamoto, who's joining us. And Phoenix is a NYSTINRC Storyteller in residence currently. So we welcome you to Pathways.
Oh, thank you so much, Elizabeth. I'm really excited to be here. I thank you for the opportunity to share what I can with you and your listening audience around the power of story and how it supports healing and transformation.
Great, great. So if you could just start off by maybe introduce yourself a little bit to our audience.
Sure. So I have been a storyteller and a story teacher and facilitator for many years now, really sharing the power of story in different forms with audiences across all ages and multiple backgrounds, and for several decades now, really focusing in on different types of content areas, really depending on what the group needed, what the focus was, what I had been invited there to offer
Mm-hmm.
regards to specific types of story content. I really had the opportunity to grow into that area of passion over, like I said, several decades now, and had the opportunity to really see
Mm-hmm.
and experience how story works in very deep, multi-layered
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Thank you. So I'm curious, because we are story making beings, like, right? Like humans are
Yes.
attracted to story. That's kind of, like we make a lot of meaning through story. So, could you talk a little bit just about, from your perspective, the role of story in healing and transformation?
Great. Yeah, we are totally wired, from an evolutionary standpoint, we are wired for stories. It's how we process, it's how we make sense of our world. And what I have experienced directly, just as a person with a complex trauma history, is how different stories, again, story comes to us in different forms, right? So from a story content that was more metaphorical and symbolic in nature, how those stories with rich metaphor and archetype have their own way of working on us and through
Mhm.
us, right? So as you hear certain stories and the rich imagery and symbolism, what that is then able to touch and stir within me, right, helped me then discover things in a more, I want to say in a more indirect,
Mm-hmm.
but but deep way.
Right.
Right? So by being in spaces with that kind of content, I was then able to explore that symbolism and see how it meant, what it was offering me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used that type of technique again with children right up through to adults of all ages,
Uh-huh.
right? It's more emotionally, it feels emotionally more safe,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's indirect. It's
Right.
speaking specifically to our unconscious.
Right.
Um, and then in other settings, right, where it's shared lived experience,
Mhm.
stories of shared lived experience, which can be at times really challenging, right, depending
Right.
on how close those stories might activate,
Mm-hmm.
right, my emotional experience and past trauma history.
Mm-hmm.
So those types of things I, are very healing and rich as well. But also come with that
Mm-hmm.
the challenge of how do we um, support safety
Right.
in in that process,
Yeah.
right? So then they're very different types of modalities
Right. Right.
that offer healing
Mhm.
just through
Yeah. No, I love the
they're different lens
differentiation.
and conduit.
Right. Yeah. The differentiation between the two, because thinking about stories that are more symbolic, right? We can see ourselves in them or connect them in different ways without having to necessarily give voice to our personal experience. And then it also, there's that shared collective experience of that. And there's a role in place for that. And then also, really speaking directly to our lived experience can be a different and powerful way of sharing our stories too,
Yeah.
but really need to be aware and cautious about the container in which those stories are told and being used. Um, well, I don't even know if used is the right word, but like, kind of
Being
that vehicle
shared.
shared. Yep, yep, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, when I first started working through more, folk tales and
Mhm.
myth and those allegorical pieces, being able to see yourself,
Mhm.
right? All of the characters are just a mirror
Right.
of our humanity.
Yeah.
Right. And so there is that added layer of safety,
Yeah.
humor, right? Stories. And that's why across cultures,
Right.
people stories
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
not just teach children,
Mhm.
right? But to really offer wisdom.
Mhm.
And, you know, I love doing this kind of work with people because it is so rich
Mhm.
and also provides these different doorways or windows
Mhm.
for self-discovery.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because how a particular story and the symbols and metaphor of that story speak to me is not going to, touch the
Right.
same places or spaces within you.
Right.
And that offers a lot of different possibility
Mhm.
in the room and in the spaces that we create with.
Right. Right. Yeah. You touch upon just the fact the role of stories played in so many different cultures and teachings and things like that. And, that just makes me think about like the role of story in collective healing, and, your perspective of that. We're at a time and place where there's a lot of division, and yet story could play a role in our collective healing.
Absolutely. When you think about how, cultures, again, people came together in
Hmm.
community to hear stories and to learn about their community, to be part of their community, and to have that collective shared experience in the moment as well. So
Right.
it connected to ancestral wisdom,
Hmm.
but also in the moment and the strength and strengthening the collective. And
Hmm.
I think that now more than ever, we are, even the recent Surgeon General's report, I think it was a year or two ago, that came out around the epidemic of isolation and
Right.
loneliness and how we are in one area, we are the most connected we could ever be as far as technological advances and the
Right.
capacity to connect.
Hmm.
But the kind of the illusion in that connection,
Hmm.
right, through screen, right,
Right.
and how for me in my work in communities, you know, finding the ways to bring people together and
Hmm.
remember that we are social beings who need one another.
Right. Yeah.
And how do we connect? Well, part of breaking down barriers is to find those ways where we have commonality, that we have shared emotional experience, sometimes shared life experience. But once we can connect, then it makes it opens up the realm of possibility for
Right.
healing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And individual, but collectively,
Mm-hmm.
because now we're getting to know one another.
Right.
We don't have to be us, them. It's we
Mm-hmm.
here together. We are hearing this story. We are sharing a story,
Mm-hmm.
and it's real and it's palpable and you're right in front of me and I can, right, my mirror neurons are firing. If we want to look at, I don't want to get geeked out in science, but
Right.
right,
Yeah.
there's also the physiology of what's
Yep.
happening in the moment of the shared experience, which supports the connection.
Yep.
So all of my systems are firing,
Right.
right? All of me is present in that moment, in that space, in
Mm-hmm.
front of you. And that is real and palpable and lasting,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we walk away from each other, you're still with me,
Mm-hmm.
right? That shared experience is going to stay with me.
Right.
It gets added to the mix of my stories
Mm-hmm.
and helps change who I am and what my perceptions may have been prior to that exchange.
Right.
Because now I have new information and a new experience
Mm-hmm.
to integrate. So, and then if you tell me things that in your sharing that reflect something, I have an opportunity to really rethink my own experience.
Right.
So there's so many different aspects of that
Mm-hmm.
simple storytelling and story sharing experience,
Right.
which is so rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that real opportunity to find where that commonality is, that common ground where we can build a bridge together, and seeing you through a new lens that I might not have had previously.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it's contagious, right? I
yeah.
mean, we know that once somebody shares a story, you automatically
Uh-huh.
your mind gives you a story and like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, I had something like that happen too, and then it just feeds, right, and
Right.
the energy builds between people. I'm a very visual person,
Uh-huh.
so it's almost like these light cords going
Uh-huh.
between us, right?
Right.
So somebody you start the weaving, right?
Mm-hmm.
You weave a story and it connects to me, and
Yep.
then I'm sending my story back to you,
Yep.
and that cord just keeps getting reinforced and strengthened,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's been my experience uh, in in spaces where it was one or a few people, and when
Mm-hmm.
it was 100 people or
Right.
more,
Yeah.
right? So when an intention is set and the
Mm-hmm.
container is made and we're invited in,
Mm-hmm.
then what's possible is
Mm-hmm.
really yet to be seen, but it can be really an amazing experience.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think because I saw in your biography that you describe yourself as a story weaver, and that really resonated with me because I was just thinking, and like I love how you describe that, like in that experience, we're creating a collective like tapestry together, like we're
Yes.
weaving a new story that
Hmm.
didn't exist before because we are in this one time and space together that we never were in before, will never happen again, and we leave with something that comes with us.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
depending on where we
Yeah.
came from
Hmm.
in our histories and what we were taught, right? Um, we may not have had the permission, felt the
Hmm.
permission
Right.
to, or the safety.
Hmm.
There's different elements to that, right?
Right.
But if I'm used to not feeling so alone and unique in my
Hmm.
experience, and then all of a sudden, right, I'm in a room or I'm with you and you're sharing, it's like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
not alone.
Hmm.
Somebody else has felt this way.
Right.
Somebody else, and depending on their life experience and cultural backgrounds and right, all things can get very
Yep.
opening, that
Yeah.
just the opening that creates.
Yep. Hmm.
and again, potentiality
Yes.
for connection and healing and growth that I feel we really need.
Right.
I often talk as a storyteller and story teacher about, you know, stories are from the heart and they speak directly to the heart,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, it it is a heartfelt
Yeah.
exchange.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think about, to me, when I think about trauma responsive practices, I always think of it as heartfelt work,
Yeah.
right? So like that, yeah, alignment. And it also just makes me think about, our upcoming conference, our Join the Journey, and our theme this year is building belonging. And it just feels so connected to our conversation today, right? And
Absolutely.
right, and welcoming new people to the table who may be just starting this journey, who might just have been kind of, hearing about these practices and getting curious, but might be coming, well, they will be coming from their own personal journey, right? And then coming
Yeah.
kind of and joining us. So just thinking about that and the role of, again, like storytelling as we're building community and building belonging.
Hmm. Yeah, I was thinking earlier about, again, our brains are like these repositories,
Uh-huh.
and whether we like it or not, there's all kinds of information in there and
Right,
stories and things from childhood, and I flashed on the story The Ugly Duckling, which was not a particular favorite or something that
right.
but again, you hear these stories and they're implanted.
Yeah, yeah,
Whether you like that or not, like just
mhm,
like advertising slogans, right? They're
right.
things that we're
Yep.
stuck with. Um, but the 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 whole drive of that story, right? Are you my family?
Mm-hmm.
You my family?
Right.
Are you my family? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are in this time that is so divisive.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of us, maybe, and rightly so, not feeling safe in certain circles and certain
Right.
spaces that
Yeah.
aren't safe,
Mm-hmm.
that have not been safe.
Right.
So coming into a new community,
Right.
how do I belong here?
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is important what they're talking about, but
Yeah.
where do I belong in here, and how do
Yeah.
I fit here?
Mhm.
And am I gonna am I gonna relate here?
Right.
Am I going to be seen here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of those questions that we walk in with, whether we're cognizant of them in the moment or not,
Right.
right?
Right.
But I know when I, came to last year's conference, I remember walking into that room, and as much as I'm a social being, I also am also pretty introverted in certain spaces and shy. And so walking into that room initially was like, ooh, I don't know. There's a lot of people.
Right.
But when I walked in, there was the energy in the space
Mm-hmm.
just there. I could exhale.
Uh-huh.
And as I listened, it was like, oh, And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that, the TNRC community
Mm-hmm.
is really um, has that opportunity and that powerful realm
Right.
of possibility,
Yeah.
as a container
Yeah.
for many different people of all different types of life experience to
Right.
come together with shared passion. And
Mm-hmm.
when I've been in those spaces, that is exhilarating.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. To be in a space, like you said, where you feel seen and that you can come as your true, authentic self. You don't have to hide pieces of yourself. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't mean that we're all going to agree on everything either. Like, right?
No,
Those two things can be true at the same time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, to have a space where that is understood
Uh-huh.
and supported in
Right.
that, it doesn't have to be all or nothing,
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
that we can find those places and spaces where we have shared passion and belief and understanding and experience.
Mm-hmm.
And there's plenty of things that are of my experience that are not of yours, and vice
Right.
versa,
Yeah.
right? But we have this, this agreement. There's
Right.
agreement in
Yeah.
that, but the work and
Mm-hmm.
the significance of the time
Yeah.
and what we're committed to doing
Mm-hmm.
is very important.
Yes, yes. And I just, I reflect back on your earlier comments just about when we have that exchange as two individuals in relationship, I can walk away with new understanding, not only about you, but about me, and starting to think. And that doesn't mean that my opinion necessarily changes about something, but I might have some new understanding about why someone might see the world in a different
Mhm.
way than I do, and that's still okay.
Yeah, and how
Yeah.
important that is, right?
Right.
Because I'm used to my own inner landscape,
Right. Right.
my own
Yep.
what's I always use the metaphor of I'm walking around with my bags.
Uh-huh.
There's all kinds of experiences in
Right.
these bags,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when we meet each other, whoever goes first, somebody's pulling out an experience, right?
Right.
Somebody's
Right.
pulling out a story,
Yep.
and then it's like, well, I have a similar story, and
Right.
or well, I don't have a similar story, but I have this story,
Right.
and we
Yep.
find those places where we can come together
Yes.
and again start to build an understanding
Mm-hmm.
that I will take with me.
Yeah.
And I think we're prone, right? I mean, that's part of a lot of the conversation that is happening is that we're in our own echo chambers now.
Right.
We're able to be very, you know, focused and have very clear, strong boundaries around certain things.
Right.
Uh, but if I'm only receiving a certain input,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm limiting my understanding
Right.
and my growth on a certain level. Like you said, I don't have to change my opinion and change my belief,
Right.
but my ability to cultivate compassion,
Yes.
empathy
Right.
is really going to be greatly enhanced by not just hearing somebody's story, but receiving it. There's a
Yeah.
there's a, there's a distinctive difference, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't receive it if I'm not even willing to listen.
Right. Right.
So, that's the big thing is it always for me boils down in so many ways to my level of willingness and
Mm-hmm.
what's getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to identify my resistance or,
Mm-hmm.
like where are my edges here? What's going on, Phoenix?
Right.
What my past experience,
Yeah.
or again, living in a culture and a container that is rich with lots of different things,
Right.
and challenges and misperceptions and stereotype, all of it.
Right.
It- you know, Having to sort out the isms and the
Mhm.
impact of those, and
Right.
can can I just focus and open my heart
Yeah.
as much as I'm trying to open my mind and my ears.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And I feel like that's that where you're talking about that receiving, like, because you can be present, you can hear words, but the reception is like, does it land on my soul, my heart, my being, and really kind of, am I taking that in? Um, yeah.
Yeah, there's a story by a very well-known national storyteller. I think it's Margaret Reed MacDonald.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Don't quote me exactly on that, but that's the name that's coming to mind.
Okay.
And I love her work. But there's a story that I've seen in print.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, two soldiers who end up from opposing sides
Mm-hmm.
end up having to. It's just the two of them, and they end up going through the night, exchanging stories and come morning,
Mm-hmm.
they can't harm one another.
Right.
They end up just walking away because now they know the other person
Right.
and they know their story,
Yeah.
and it changed everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
They're no longer enemies.
right.
And I think that, I'm very much I think the idealist and the optimist and the
Uh-huh.
romantic in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
my experience is if I can receive that
Hmm.
story,
Yeah.
I am changed and my
Mhm.
heart is different.
Right.
And then it's up to me, okay, but then what am I going to do with that?
Right. Right. Yeah.
But, because I have the responsibility, the ability to respond, right? The
Right.
responsibility, the ability to
Yep.
respond. How am I going to respond
Hmm.
differently now?
Yes. Right. Right. And like circling back to that opportunity for collective healing, that's where that happens. Like right now, I'm fundamentally changed. And what am I going to do? What's my next action? How is that now informed by this new information?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's always when in this opportunity to have the storytellers in residence to participate in that initiative,
Yeah.
with the different pieces, it's been really important to me to extend that invitation at the end of, whether it's a written piece or
Hmm.
a video
Right.
of, okay, I've shared this, but what what is it what does it remind you of in
Hmm.
your journey? Like, how are
Right.
you going to reflect on that? Because
Hmm.
the gift in me is, for me, is in sharing it, I'm getting to reintegrate and remember.
Hmm.
I had a wonderful, amazing drum teacher, Ubaka Hill, who lives in the Hudson Valley. Amazing, amazing woman and poet and storyteller. And she was the first person I heard use the word remember in that way. She broke it out as remember yourself,
Hmm.
you know? And when I am remembering,
Hmm.
it is with that conscious intention, right? Of how am I integrating this new information or
Hmm.
old information, but through a new lens and new
Right.
understanding?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful. It really is. So it's hard to believe that we're close to the end of our time together. We anticipated this, that this was going to fly by, and it has. So, just as you were reflecting, like when you kind of close out, what would you like to kind of share with our audience, kind of, and maybe frame their reflection that what they're taking away from this conversation that we just shared?
I think what comes to mind for me and
Mhm.
also comes to my heart is that invitation for reflection of what are what are those key life experiences that are part of your tapestry,
Mhm.
the richness that you walk with. And sometimes that richness is um, very heavily laden with sorrow,
Mhm.
traumatic loss. It could be lots of different,
Mhm.
but that those things also serve with providing such depth
Mhm.
to how you are living
Right.
and how you are loving
Mhm.
in your life.
Yeah.
So I think that's my invitation, and that I encourage people to really think about, what is your story or stories? What
Mhm.
are things that when you go to meet somebody, you would want them to know you? Like, what do you pull out?
Mhm.
What is those significant pieces of your,
Mhm. Yeah. I
yeah.
I love that invitation, and I think that's a great place for us to kind of end this time together. And I want to just thank you so much, beyond just our conversation today, but you're giving, kind of to the network through your role as a storyteller in residence and the things you have written and shared with us. I'm just personally very grateful. So I just wanted to express my thanks and my gratitude.
Well, thank you. It is received and so deeply appreciated. And I really appreciate the opportunity to give in this way. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you for joining us today. Please visit our website, traumainformedny.org, for additional trauma-responsive resources, events, and training opportunities. Subscribe to our podcast to be notified when our next episode is released.